Hi guys, Pop Stanimus here. Today, I want to talk to you about growing your stream from around 3-ish viewers to 10 to 20. And this is numbers pulled out of my butthole because it's not really about the numbers, it's about the technique, and it can be scaled to wherever. But this is what I did when I was at 3 viewers to get myself up to 20. When I was a small streamer, just starting out, nobody telling me anything, I experimented a lot. And I recommend that you do that too. If you're a small streamer and you're trying to figure out how this stuff works, just experiment as much as you can. And one of the things that I kind of developed accidentally through experimenting a lot was a method of game hopping. And that is you find a game that you have or that you can get access to, whether it's a free game or it's a cheap game or it's an emulatable game, and you get access to that game, and it's a game that when you go live, your average viewership puts you in the top 10, right? One that I like to shoot for is, I don't like to, when I did this technique, I like to be like 4th place or above. So sometimes the game needs to be super small, because if you have, let's say 10 viewers, and if at 10 viewers you can be the 4th biggest streamer, that's a pretty small game. The community is going to be very small, but that's your league. That's the league that you're in. Another term I like to call it is playing in your league, streaming in your league. That's what it is. So if you're pulling 10 viewers, put yourself in a game that rewards you for having 10 viewers instead of punishes you. If you stream PUBG or whatever's popular at the time that you're watching this video, and there's hundreds of streamers ahead of you, that's the wrong game to be streaming with this particular technique. You can stream those games, that's a whole nother video. A lot of people have said exactly what I'm saying, and they like to put it as, don't play oversaturated games. I don't really like explaining it like that, because I don't believe that those games are oversaturated. I believe that there's a lot of streamers that you could rise above in those bigger games. But when we're talking about game hopping, this smaller, from the more of the bottom kind of build yourself up technique, I don't like the term oversaturated games, because it tends to get people to they find the game that it is that's smaller that they fit in, but they don't leave that game. They get stuck there. And that's the big thing that everyone's messing up when it comes to this advice. And that is that they think, okay, don't play an oversaturated game. That means I need to play a smaller game, right? And they go and do that. And you can sit there for a year and you could stream a game that has less than 500 viewers, or even less. Or you can stream that game and then within 3 days, suck up everyone that you could possibly suck up out of that community and move on to the next game. So with my method, what I recommend people do is scope out different games that you have that you can get access to, and then look at the people that are streaming those games. Look at the streams in those games. And oftentimes those streams aren't going to be that difficult to do better than. It's, like sometimes maybe someone does have a little bit of effects and stuff like that. And I like it when I come across that, because it motivates me to push even harder to up my own quality in the things that I'm doing. However, most of the time when I was game hopping, I found that a lot of streamers were really easy to beat. It was easy to beat them. I can outstream them just because they weren't trying very hard. And in a lot of these smaller games, you can go into these games and you don't have to try very hard at all to be better than these guys. And so you shine, you position yourself higher up in the category, you stream your ass off, you shine way more than these other guys, and then you get all the followers, and then you say, sorry guys, I'm out of here. And some people will come with you, some people will go back to watching those other crappy streamers, and then they'll always remember that time when they watched you. Move on to each game and don't get stuck there. Assimilate the viewers to your program. Take these different games and all these different days that you're doing these different things and use them as an exercise for yourself to try different things all the time and see what works and what doesn't work. This is a really amazing training ground. Looking back on it for myself, I didn't really set this up to be something that was a training ground. I did always tell myself when I go live in front of that microphone and camera, I'm gonna do the best I can. I wanna do better than the last time. I wanna learn something. I just wanna keep growing. I wanna do this and get better and better and better at it. I always told myself that, but I didn't really realize that by constantly moving games that I would start building an audience, and then that would also be a great training ground for me. There were times where I would stream a game and I had really good results on the first day, and then I would have pretty good results on the second day, and then pretty good results on the third day, and then I would just keep streaming that game, right? And it was just gradually kind of going down. Like, it was a good game, so I stayed there longer. And then it got to a point where it was just kind of like, you know, it was more than 3 days, it was maybe 2 weeks. But after 2 weeks, it went right back to that every day I stream. Now the followers are gone. Like, they're not happening anymore. I'm not getting the volume of followers that I was getting on those first few days. And you gotta move. So sometimes it can be 3 days, sometimes it could be a couple weeks, but what you gotta do is realize that when the game has kind of dried up, it's dried up. It's time to move on to the next game. There's a lot of techniques out there that are really, really effective. This is just one of many. This is something from my own experiences that I wanna share with you guys. I wanna put it out there. People can try this. It's not gonna work for everyone. Not everyone that tries this out is gonna work for you. And also, at the same time, this technique, it's only a path. Like, it's how you travel that path that really defines it. You can travel it at low effort, or you can go in and be super try hard and be competitive with other streamers and use this method. And the results are gonna be a lot different depending on how you go into it and whatever your personal circumstances are. But for me, as a competitive person, I found this technique to work very well, and it helped me figure out how I wanted to stream. To recap, start small with the game that you're playing and find somewhere that you fit, where you're in the top 10 streamers. Just play any game where you're in the top 10 streamers and see what your results are. And make sure that you never play that same game for too long without any results. Guys, thank you very much for watching. I appreciate it. If you guys have anything that you would like to add on top of this, or any techniques or anything that you think is messed up with what I said, leave that all down in the comments. Let's talk about it. I really like talking about how streams can work in the current environment. It's always changing, so I always like to figure out what the current game is and how people from the very bottom can get their foot in the door, because it's getting harder and harder and harder, and it's just really interesting. So I'd like to know what your guys' ideas are on stuff like this that you've used, on how you got yourself to 20 viewers, or whatever story you want to share, or techniques. I am probably live on Twitch right now, so if you go to twitch.tv/Papa Stanimus, you can catch me. I'm live Monday through Friday. Make sure to like, subscribe, and I'll see you on the next video.